This message may have found you for a reason. Maybe you opened this video because something inside you has been quietly asking, when will things change? You've been praying, you've been believing, you've been doing your best to stay hopeful. But the truth is, the waiting has been longer than you expected. You thought by now things would look different. You thought by now the opportunity would have come, the door would have opened, the answer would have arrived. Instead, it feels like you're still standing in the same place wondering why. Maybe you've watched other people move ahead while you're still waiting. Waiting for the right opportunity. Waiting for the breakthrough. Waiting for life to shift in your favor. And sometimes that waiting can make you question everything. You start asking yourself, did I miss my moment? Did God forget about me? But here's what you need to hear today. Just because it hasn't happened yet does not mean it isn't already on the way. God is not late in your life. He's strategic. There are seasons in life that feel quiet, slow, even confusing. But heaven never wastes a waiting season. While it may look like nothing is happening, something powerful is taking place behind the scenes. Because the truth is, delays in your life are never empty. They are preparation seasons. Think about a farmer planting seeds in the ground. The moment he plants them, the field still looks empty. No green leaves, no crops, no sign of life. If someone walked by that field the next day, they might think nothing is happening. But beneath the soil, everything is happening. Roots are forming. Strength is developing. Life is preparing to break through. And that's exactly how many seasons in life work. Sometimes God allows the process to happen underground first. You can't see it. You can't measure it. But something is growing. Something is forming. Something is aligning. You may feel like you're in a hidden season right now. A season where doors haven't opened yet. A season where the answers haven't appeared yet. A season where you're doing your best to stay faithful, but you're not seeing the results you hoped for. But here's what most people don't realize. God often does His greatest work in the unseen seasons. Before the promotion, there is preparation. Before the breakthrough, there is building. Before the elevation, there is strengthening. And if you're in a waiting season right now, it's not a punishment. It's positioning. You are not being ignored. You are being prepared. Because God is not just trying to give you something. He's preparing you to handle something bigger than you imagined. Something stronger. Something more meaningful. Something that will shift your entire story. And here's the powerful truth. Before this month ends, God can change things faster than you expect. One opportunity, one phone call, one meeting, one moment of favor. That's all it takes. Things that felt stuck for months can shift in a single day. Doors that stayed closed for years can suddenly swing open. Because when the right time arrives, God doesn't need a long process. He can move suddenly. Joseph waited years in prison before becoming a leader in Egypt. David spent years in the fields before becoming king. In their waiting seasons, it looked like nothing was happening. But heaven was preparing something extraordinary. And the same may be happening in your life right now. God sees your faith. He sees the nights you kept believing. He sees the moments you wanted to give up, but didn't. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. And your story is far from finished, because sometimes the chapter that feels the slowest becomes the chapter that changes everything. And what happens next may surprise you, because in the moments when you think nothing is moving, God is quietly arranging the breakthrough you never saw coming. You see, one of the hardest seasons in life is the in-between season. The season where the old chapter has ended, but the new chapter hasn't fully begun yet. It's that place where you feel like you're standing between two doors. Behind you, things that didn't work out. Ahead of you, things you cannot yet see. And in that space, the mind begins to whisper doubts. Maybe nothing will change. Maybe this is just how life will always be. But that's exactly the moment when faith becomes powerful. Because faith doesn't grow when everything is working. Faith grows when you're still believing while nothing seems to be moving. There was a man who spent years trying to start his small business. Every time he tried, something went wrong. Investments failed. Opportunities disappeared. People told him it was time to quit. And after years of rejection, He started believing that maybe success just wasn't meant for him. But one unexpected conversation changed everything. A friend introduced him to someone who believed in his vision. One meeting turned into one opportunity. That opportunity turned into the breakthrough he had been waiting for. Years of struggle changed in a single season. And when he looked back, he realized something powerful. Every rejection had actually been redirecting him to the right door. Sometimes the door that closes in your life is not loss, it's protection. Sometimes the opportunity that disappears is not failure, it's divine redirection. God can see paths we cannot see. He knows which relationships will build you and which ones would break you. He knows which opportunities will elevate you and which ones would drain your purpose. So when something doesn't work out, it doesn't mean your future just collapsed. Sometimes it means your future just got protected. But here's what most people miss during these seasons. While you're waiting, God is aligning things you cannot yet see. People you haven't met yet, opportunities you haven't imagined yet, doors you never expected to open. Your life is not limited to what you currently see. Heaven is always working beyond your current situation. That's why the Bible often compares faith to a seed. A seed looks small, insignificant, easy to overlook. But inside that seed is an entire future. A tree, branches, fruit, shade, growth. Everything is already inside it. It just needs time in the soil. And right now, your life may feel like that soil season. Quiet, hidden, uncertain. But here's the encouragement you need today. God is still working behind the scenes. Even when you can't see it. Even when you don't feel it. Even when it seems like nothing is changing. Something is being prepared. Something is being aligned. Something is quietly moving in your favor. And this is important to remember. You are not behind in life. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are being positioned. Positioned for the right opportunity. Positioned for the right connections. Positioned for the right timing. Because when God's timing arrives, things begin to move faster than you imagined. Doors begin to open. Favor begins to appear. Paths begin to clear. And the same people who once doubted your journey will suddenly see the shift. They'll ask, how did that happen? But the truth is, it didn't happen overnight. It was building the entire time. And here's something that might surprise you. Your breakthrough is often closer than it feels. Many people give up just before their season changes. They stop believing right before the door opens. They lose hope right before the opportunity arrives. But you didn't come this far just to quit in the middle of your story. God didn't carry you through every difficult season just to abandon you now. Your story is still unfolding. Your chapter is still being written. And before this month ends, something unexpected could shift in your life. One moment of favor, one answered prayer, one new direction. That's all it takes, because God specializes in sudden turnarounds. Situations that looked impossible suddenly change. Paths that seemed blocked suddenly open. Dreams that felt distant suddenly come closer. And this is where everything begins to change. Because the moment you start believing again, hope returns. And hope is the doorway to miracles. And here's something powerful you need to remember. Your life is not defined by the seasons that felt slow. It's defined by the moments when everything suddenly changes. There are moments in life when it feels like nothing is moving. Days turn into weeks. Weeks turn into months. And you begin to wonder if the prayer you whispered was ever heard. But heaven never ignores a faithful heart. Every prayer you've prayed, every tear you've cried, every moment you chose faith, instead of fear, God saw all of it. And nothing you placed in God's hands is ever wasted. Sometimes the process takes longer because God is preparing something greater than what you originally asked for. You prayed for a door. God may be preparing an entire building. You prayed for an opportunity. God may be aligning a purpose that will change more than just your life. But here's the part many people don't understand. Before the breakthrough appears, there is often a moment when things feel the quietest. It almost feels like the silence is louder than the struggle. But silence in your life does not mean absence. It often means preparation is finishing. Think about an arrow being pulled back on a bow. For a moment, it feels like it's moving backward, further away from the target. But that backward pull is not failure. It's the force that will launch it forward. And maybe that's exactly where you are right now. You feel like life pulled you backward. Plans didn't work out. Doors closed. People left. Things slowed down. But what if this season wasn't pushing you away from your future? What if it was actually launching you toward it? Because God often pulls people back before He releases them forward. Forward into opportunities they never imagined. Forward into rooms they never expected to enter. Forward into seasons that completely change their story. Joseph experienced this. He went from the pit to slavery to prison. For years, it looked like his life was moving in the wrong direction. But every step was positioning him for the palace. And when the right moment arrived, his entire life changed in a single day. That's how God works sometimes. Years of preparation, followed by a moment of sudden promotion. That's why you cannot judge your story in the middle of the process. The chapter you're in right now is not the final chapter. It's the setup chapter. The chapter where God is building strength inside you. The chapter where your character is forming. The chapter where your faith is becoming unshakable. And here's the encouragement you need today. God is not just preparing a blessing. He is preparing you for the blessing. Because if the opportunity arrived too early, it might overwhelm you. If the promotion came too fast, it might break you. But when the preparation is complete, you'll be ready to carry what God places in your hands. And here's the truth that should bring peace to your heart. Your timing is not random. Your journey is not accidental. Your waiting season is not meaningless. Everything in your life is part of a bigger story God is writing. A story where the struggle becomes strength, where the delay becomes direction, where the waiting becomes wisdom, and where the breakthrough arrives exactly when it needs to. But here's the moment that changes everything. When you stop asking, why is this taking so long? And start believing, God must be preparing something bigger. That's when your perspective shifts. That's when peace replaces anxiety. That's when hope begins to grow again. Because the moment you trust God's timing, you stop living in frustration and you start living in expectation. Expectation that something good is on the way. Expectation that the story is about to turn. Expectation that the door God opens next will be greater than any door that closed before. And here's something you need to hold on to tonight. Before this month ends, you may see a shift you didn't expect, a conversation that changes direction, a connection that opens opportunity, a moment that reminds you God was working all along. You see, one of the greatest battles people face during difficult seasons is not the situation itself. It's the thoughts that begin to grow during the waiting. Thoughts like, maybe it's too late for me. Maybe I missed my chance. Maybe things will never change. And slowly, those thoughts begin to drain your hope. But here's something important you need to understand. Your future is not determined by what looks impossible today. Your future is determined by what God has already planned. And God has never been limited by the circumstances that limit people. When people see a closed door, God sees another path. When people see an ending, God sees a beginning. When people see delay, God sees perfect timing. That's why some of the greatest breakthroughs in life happen when people least expect them. Think about the moments in your life when things suddenly changed. A conversation you didn't plan, an opportunity you didn't expect, a door that opened at the exact right moment. Life can shift quickly when the right moment arrives. But here's what most people don't realize. The reason those moments appear suddenly is because God was preparing them long before you saw them. He was aligning people. He was shaping circumstances. He was clearing paths. And while you thought nothing was happening, heaven was quietly moving pieces into place. And right now, that may be exactly what's happening in your life. Even if today feels ordinary, even if today feels quiet, even if today feels uncertain, God is still working behind the scenes. And sometimes the greatest miracles begin in the most ordinary days. A day that feels normal can become the day everything changes. That's why it's important not to lose your expectation. Don't lose your faith in the middle of the process. Don't let temporary silence convince you that your future is empty, because the same God who carried you through every past challenge is still guiding your next chapter. You are not walking this journey alone. God is directing steps you cannot yet see, and the opportunity you're waiting for may be closer than you imagine. That's why you must keep your heart open to possibility, because breakthroughs rarely announce themselves in advance. They simply arrive. One phone call, one introduction, one decision, one unexpected moment of favor, and suddenly everything begins to shift. And here's what makes this even more powerful. Your breakthrough will not just bless you, it will strengthen your faith. It will remind you that God was present in every season, even the seasons that felt uncertain, even the seasons that felt slow, even the seasons that felt confusing, because those seasons were not wasted. They were building the strength inside you that will carry you into your next chapter. That's why you must not give up now. You've already come too far. You've already grown too much. You've already survived things you once thought would break you. And if God carried you through those moments, He will carry you through this one too. Remember this truth. God does not abandon the story halfway through. If He began something in your life, He intends to finish it. And the chapter you are living right now may be the very chapter that leads into your greatest season. The season where things begin to align. The season where doors begin to open. The season where the prayers you've whispered finally begin to take shape. And before this month ends, you may look back and realize something incredible. The season you once thought was delay was actually the doorway to your next breakthrough. And as this month continues to unfold, there is something important you need to carry in your heart. Your life is not defined by the delays you experienced. It is defined by the purpose God placed inside you. Sometimes people think that the waiting season means they are stuck. But the truth is, waiting seasons are often the seasons where God is doing the deepest work inside you. He's strengthening your patience. He's growing your faith. He's shaping the person you are becoming. Because the blessing you're about to receive requires a version of you that is stronger, wiser, and ready. And that's why the process matters. Without the process, the blessing would not feel as meaningful. Without the struggle, the victory would not feel as powerful. Every chapter you've walked through has been shaping your story. Every moment of perseverance has been building your strength. Every prayer you've whispered has been heard. Nothing has been ignored. Nothing has been forgotten. And this is where many people miss the miracle. They think miracles only happen in dramatic moments. But sometimes miracles begin quietly, a shift in direction, a new connection, a sudden opportunity, a door opening that no one expected. These moments may look small at first, but they carry the power to change everything. That's why you must stay open to what God may do next, because the breakthrough you're praying for may not arrive the way you imagined. It may arrive through a path you never considered, through a conversation you almost ignored, through an opportunity you once thought was impossible. God has a way of surprising people. He moves in ways that go beyond human expectation. And when His timing arrives, things can change faster than you imagined. Doors that once seemed locked suddenly open. Paths that seemed blocked suddenly clear. Situations that felt impossible suddenly begin to move. And when that moment arrives, you'll look back and understand something powerful. Every delay had meaning. Every struggle had purpose. Every closed door was protecting you from something that wasn't meant for your future. God was guiding you all along. He was leading you towards something better, something stronger, something that aligns with the purpose He placed inside you. That's why you can move forward with confidence today. Not because everything is perfect right now, but because you know God is still writing your story. And the author of your story does not create unfinished endings. If you are still here, if you are still breathing, if you still have hope in your heart, then your story is still unfolding. The chapter you are living right now is not the final chapter. It is the moment before the turn, the moment before the breakthrough, the moment before the door begins to open. So instead of letting worry fill your mind, let expectation fill your heart. Wake up each day believing that something good could happen. Walk forward believing that God is aligning things you cannot yet see. Speak over your life with confidence. Tell yourself God is working behind the scenes. My season is changing. I am not forgotten. Something greater is being prepared. And before this month ends, you may look back and realize something incredible. The moment you almost lost hope was the moment your breakthrough was already on the way. Stay faithful. Stay hopeful. Stay open to what God is doing, because the story God is writing in your life may be closer to a beautiful turning point than you think.